So we're talking about more granular permissions in GitLab. And I think that it's a recurring requests have been for custom permission levels. And when you dive into it, when you kind of go to the use case with a customer, it tends to be that there's one or two permissions that are kind of missing for them, or that kind of really break their use case. And that's kind of after making some adjustments. Sometimes some people have like reporter access and they should have some other access. So like they're using some of the permissions, kind of, they can move them in order to kind of have a bigger overlap with what they want. And then some of the things, it's like, in our case, a reporter shouldn't be able to do X, Y, Z. And then we can add that to the product. We can have like, hey, a reporter shouldn't be able to do X, Y, Z. The alternative and the thing that customers tend to ask for, hey, we just want to define our own level of users. So like we want to introduce a new user level. I don't know, project lead. And the project lead can do X, Y, Z and X, Y, Z. And I think that's a super tough one, because what you tend to get is that it becomes very unclear for the people in the organization what every user can do. You tend to get people that are restricted to sets of rights that don't make a lot of sense. It's super hard to define appropriate levels. And we could add more levels to GitLab. So if we find the same thing coming back multiple times, or there's just a customer that has a use case and we're like, yeah, we're totally not able to address that, we're open to like introducing new levels. Allowing people to customize it, what you gain something, you give them the flexibility they ask for, but what you tend to get with products that allow that is you tend to have administrators that set defaults that are not practical for people. And it's super hard to find that out. What is practical for people? What rights do people need? And it's a lot of work. And it's work that we as a company should do. We cannot kind of farm that out to our customers and say, well, we'll just give you the flexibility. You'll do an awesome job at it. No, it's super, super hard to figure out what good trade-offs are there. And it's work that we should take on. So a lot of open source software tends to suffer from optionitis, where it's just options all over the product. We're getting paid to not add options, but to remove options, but do it in a way that everyone can still kind of do their use case. But that's what we're getting paid for. And I think in products with that allow kind of infinite customization of authorizations, you tend to find that people are restricted too much, like they don't have the rights they should have. It's inconsistent. They can do some things. They should be able to do other things to kind of complete their job, but they can't. It's hard to kind of have a conversation in the company, because also the naming is confusing. There's way too many levels, things like that. And it's kind of hard to support them because they have questions. It's hard for them to Google stuff because like their things are called different than other people's things. So in the end, it's software. We can also hand customers a programming level and programming language, and they can build their own. And it doesn't end well. Like we're competing with DIY ops. People built their own platforms and they're moving to GitLab because they didn't work. And one of the reasons they didn't work is super hard to set the appropriate levels and to think through that. That's the hard work we have to do. And if it's really needed, we can add an option to allow a certain tier to do something extra or to do something less. That should be a last resort. In general, we should just make sure the product does the right thing out of the box. And asking customers to kind of introduce their own levels and with their own permissions, I think is stepping away from that super hard work and saying, oh, well, the customer can do it. And then, yeah, great. You, as a product manager, you won't have any questions anymore because they can do it. But you'll introduce a lot of pain for the users of that instance. And I think we should feel that pain, and we should dive into into those use cases and make sure that use cases are addressed.
Yeah. Thank you for the background.
Thanks for listening.